Okay, good evening Spartans, welcome to, whoops, I almost fell over. Welcome to session number 24 of the Stay Home Spartans lockdown sessions. If you've been doing all the sessions so far, that is brilliant. It is good to see, like I said on Monday, it's good to see a return to rugby start to happen for the guys who play touch, for everybody who plays touch. Hopefully the rest of us won't be too far behind either. But what we're looking to do tonight is very like Monday because it is so warm, so sticky at the moment. We're not going to be doing a huge amount of high intensity stuff. We're going to focus a little bit on strength. And it's just going to be a little bit of upper body, a little bit of lower body, and a little bit of core is all we're going to work into. So what I want you guys to start off with, we're going to get going right away, straight into a set of walkouts, just like we did on Monday. But I want you to walk out, hands down onto the floor, walk into that press up position, and then walk back up onto your feet. Each time you walk back up, try and push your hips up into the air. Sorry guys, just didn't realise that camera's way off. So walk out into that press up position on the floor, hold that press up position for a second, and then back up onto your feet.
Neil.
Hello.
You have to let him in.
Ah, Christ. Give me a notification that you guys are doing. I'll let them in now. Cheers. There we go. I put up the chat, that's what I've done. I've got that in the way. We go. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll keep my eye on that, see if anybody else joins in as well. Okay guys, so as soon as you guys are ready, once you've joined in there, is just straight into a set of walkouts. So walking out into that press up position, back up onto your feet, back up onto your feet. So going for just another 15 seconds. At the end of that 15 seconds, we're going to stay down in a press up position. And what we're going to come into is just a press up position into downward facing dog and back again. So we're just going to work between those two basic positions. Ready and change. So what we're going to do from that press up position, downward facing dog and back in. And just work between those two positions. Spend a bit of time in each position. Just rock in, rock out, rock in, rock out. And again, push your heels down into the floor. Try and ground your heels. Try and press your knuckles down into the floor. So you'll want to put all your pressure there through the heel of your hand. I want you to try and press that part, so the base of your fingers down into the floor. Try and grip the floor as you do those. Okay, so just into that, another 30 seconds. And then we're going to get the upper body warmed up. So we're going to come into that kneeling press to child's pose. So that press up to child's pose. So that's going to be from the knees. Going to swap over in just 5 seconds. And all you're looking to do is sit your bum back onto your heels. Stretch the fingertips out in front. And then rock forward into that press up and back. Ready and change over. Off we go. So it's that push the hips back into that child's pose. From there, rock forward. Chest to floor. Back up. Hips back. And again, just work between those two positions, pushing the hips back, number one. Come forward, chest onto floor, push the hips back. And again, you can flow into the two of them, forward and back. Or you can spend a bit of time in child's pose, loosening up your middle of your back. Try and shift your shoulders side to side. Push your armpit to the floor. And then rock forward. 15 more seconds. From there, we're going to come into your teddy bear rolls. Some of you guys may have done these at training. Some of you may not. Okay, so going into those teddy bear rolls, what I want you to do is you're going to roll back, hug your knees into your chest. As you roll forward, legs apart, touch the floor out in front. So it's that roll back, roll forward. Working right between those two positions. So that's roll back if you've got enough room, roll forward. I want you to do 3 straight out in front, 3 that you reach for your right foot, and 3 that you reach for the left foot. Just alternate between those. So 3 forward, 3 right, 3 left. If you get all them done, just start a second cycle. 3 forward, 3 right, 3 left. Don't force it. That's it. Keep the move as smooth as possible. All the way out. This is looking good though. So just another 10 seconds. What we're going to do is a little bit of heel, ankle, Achilles, calf kind of conditioning. But it's dead gentle, dead easy. It's up to you how intense that you make it. Okay guys, time from there. So, like I say, we're building up into some stability work. But this one's probably at the higher end in terms of intensity of stability work. All I need you to do is balance on balance on your toes. So what we're going to look at, just tipping you forward, is for 90 seconds. All you're going to do is just not let the heels touch the floor. And all I do is just move around. You can keep that as intense as you want, keeping both feet on the floor. You can turn it into a jog on the spot. You can turn it into sprints on the spot. You can do bunny hops. But all I want you to do is keep the heels off the floor. So don't let the heels touch the floor for 90 seconds. Off we go. So we're going to do two rounds of this one. Okay, so it's 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 90 seconds on. And again, just play about with that movement. You know, if anybody's got a skipping rope, you know, feel free to turn it into skipping. If you don't have a skipping rope, or you're indoors and there's light fittings overhead, just stay light on the toes. And again, just keeping those toes off the floor, or keeping those heels off the floor rather, shifting your weight forward and back, side to side. If you've got a little bit of room, move yourself forward and back, whether it is just jogging, throwing heel flicks, keeping yourself moving. You find it actually gets relatively intense, relatively tiring around the calves, but you're trying to keep those heels off the floor the whole way through. You want to even slow it down, you want to take the bounce out of it, just walk around, keeping your heels off the floor on your toes. 60 seconds in. Now, what I should point out is, the guys that are currently watching via YouTube, you guys don't get to see what I'm seeing on Zoom, so you're missing out. Another 20 seconds, keeping yourselves moving. And again, all we're going to do is do 2 rounds, again, keeping those heels off the floor, keep moving. So even when I'm just walking around here, all I'm doing is keep my heels off the floor. And time, 30 seconds to recover. 30 seconds to recover, so let the heels come down. If you feel that's quite tight, some people might, you can come to a step, just a gentle stretch over the step. If you don't have a step, all you can do is just reach into that, reaching for the wall, push the hips back, push into that stretch, that calf stretch, either one of those is absolutely fine. But it's only 30 seconds, so we're already going to go into round number 2 in 3, 2, 1, off we go. 90 seconds again. So again, staying in. And again, mix it up a little bit. So throw in different paces, different speeds. You know, can you do it on one foot for a few seconds, swap to the other foot for a few seconds. Several different ways of working. Yeah, throw in that rotation. Think about things that you maybe struggle with. You know, do you struggle turning off your left for a pass? Think about getting that rotation through the hips. Again, think about how that would carry across into that pass across. That off to the left. You got to turn the body. You got to have that movement around the core. Okay, keep yourselves moving. You're halfway through, so again, different speeds. Different speeds. What we're looking to do is just provide a lot of tension through the calves over a short period of time. Because you think of anything in rugby, anything in any sport, any acceleration, any direction, you've got to be quite springy through the calves. So obviously a sprint forward, that's the most obvious one. Just straight in line, you've got to go. Another option, obviously, that's not always the way it happens. Somebody tries to sidestep, you've got to step off the toes, you've got to move quick. Very seldom you'll be able to move fast off flat foot. If you've got your feet flat on the floor, the first thing you've got to do is get onto your toes. So you may as well get used to being on your toes. And time, relax, 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 relax. So again, all we're going to look at now is that balance, so foot flat on the floor this time. All we're going to come into is that Superman stretch. So all I want you to do is come down into that position. Try and hold that position for 10 to 15 seconds. So you can see I'm wobbling away. You're meant to wobble, meant to be tough. 15 seconds. Again, I'm not going to count. It's on you. Just come down into that position. You can reach for the toes if you want, but we're going to try and stay balanced. So if you can reach down, touch the shoelaces, that's great. What we're looking to do is try and stay balanced in that position. Easier said than done. One key thing is make sure that your standing leg is slightly bent. So again, if you're doing that slight bend in that leg, because that's your suspension, that's what helps you balance. If you lock out that knee, it's much harder to balance because you've got no suspension around the leg. 10 to 15 seconds per leg, keep alternating. We're going for 2 minutes altogether. We're already about 1.5 minutes in. So you've got about 40 seconds left. This is good. As you lean forward, stretch that other foot as far up as you can, so it actually lifts right up. So as far as your body is leaning down, your other leg should be in the opposite direction. So they act like a counterbalance. So rather than being at kind of different angles, you have that straight line between the two. One goes up, the other goes down. Last couple of seconds. Time. Okay guys, give yourselves 30 seconds. Give yourselves 30 seconds. Grab a quick drink if you need it. This is one of those days where you probably need it. I've left my bottle somewhere, so I'll make do. I'll have it in a bit. I'll have one afterwards. We're looking good. All we're going to do is we're just going to change the pace. So we're going to do the same thing for 2 minutes, but this time all I want you to do, constant movement. So we're going to come into that touch, come back up, swap sides. So now this time we're just trying to keep movement the whole way through. 2 minutes, just keep alternating sides, all the way down, all the way back up. Off we go, let's go, 2 minutes. Good, looks good on Zoom. So again, just that movement. Again, same thing as before. So again, make sure that standing leg is soft knee, so you're not locked out on the knee, you're actually soft knee. Down into it. As soon as you come back up, swap side, back up. If you do wobble in it, don't worry, just try and regain your balance. If you can't regain your balance, doesn't matter, just move on to the next side, come back to it. Repeated efforts, small efforts. Much more difficult to do with the dog running around you. Added challenge, that's all it is. 45 seconds in, loads of time left in this one. Loads of time left. Stop. Are they on the backs now?
No, both can go to the side, but once we both stand.
Rory was actually miles away from the side when I went in. Yeah, he was like a good 6 inches away. Just looked like he was in there. There's 50 seconds left, 50 seconds. So again, it's 2 minutes, then we move on to something completely different. Something completely different. So we're going to be doing small stints. Now, this one, you can have 2 cushions for the next part. So if you do have access to them, you can go and grab them. If you don't have 2 cushions, doesn't matter. You don't actually need them. It'll change the move slightly, but I'll go through that for you as well. Good, you got another 15 seconds. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, 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 relax. Okay guys, 30 seconds. 30 seconds to recover. So what we're going to come into is a single leg squat. Now, if you don't have cushions, if you don't have something that you can do this with, it's absolutely fine. All that you're going to do with that variation, let me just step back. All you're going to do with that variation is just one leg. I want you to just try and just squat as low as you can and come back up. That's the only difference. If you do have the cushions, the higher you make the stack, the easier this becomes. But what you're going to try and do is stand in front of the cushions and try and drop back and put your knee onto the cushions. Okay? So I'm going to go with my strong leg for this one. So it's that step back, try and put your knee onto the cushions without your foot touching the floor. So my foot is floating off the floor, and then I've got to do the same thing back up off the ground. So I've got to try and keep my foot off the floor the whole way through. So single leg squat, we're going to go for 8 reps on the right, 8 reps on the left. As soon as you've done that, you get a short rest, guys, a short rest. So off we go, let's go. So 8 reps right, 8 reps left. So standing in front, try and drop your knee onto the cushions if you can, keeping that foot off the floor. Stand back up. The higher the stack of cushions, the easier it is. Try and control it all the way through. I probably need a third cushion because you can see I'm dropping the bottom part of the move. You could, if you really struggle, you can't get that far down and you don't have enough cushions to stack it up, just work on that depth, get as low as you can and back up. So you're just balancing on that one foot, that single leg squat this time. So 8 reps per side. I haven't been counting yours. You guys on YouTube, you might be counting mine. Especially if you did Monday session, you'll know just how bad I am at counting and talking at the same time. I had a look back and I'm not sure I got one set right. So again, once you've done 8 on each side, give yourself 10 to 15 seconds of rest. Then repeat for another 8 on each side. We're going to do 3 rounds altogether, so 3 sets. Now it's not a circuit. We're not aiming to get you out of breath. That might be a bit of a bonus to it. That might actually happen, but you're going for 3 sets of 8 on each side. Down, touch, keeping that foot off the floor, back up. If you can do it without collapsing onto the cushion, so you can see I'm dropping back into it, but if you can come down, touch the cushion with the knee and come back up from that point, you've got that depth. But each one provides you a slightly different challenge. Gotta make sure those cushions are fluffed up. Gotta get them to their maximum height. This is good. So if you're doing it where you're not putting your weight on it, make sure that the tip of your knee, your kneecap, is what hits. You're not just dropping your shin, because that makes it a lot easier just dropping your foot down. So make sure it is your knee touches and the only thing that touches. So you'll find this really, really affects that balance. And again, it just reflects sport in general, where you practice things in the perfect position. So I'm sure everybody here, when they've done if they've done any contact rugby at all, which I think all the guys on Zoom have done a little bit of, you do the steps, the perfect steps, where you do a tackle and you have somebody runs up and they're on that side and you tip them in perfect, and then you do the next one where you're on your feet and you tell you which way you're going and you dive in and it's perfect. But then you get into a game situation, suddenly somebody's not telling you where they're going to run. You've accidentally got yourself on the wrong side. You just have to make do with it. You make the best out of what position you get into. That's what's kind of happening here. If you wobble, you go off balance, you might not get a perfect rep, but you get what you can out of it. As soon as you've done those 3 sets, you are done on this one. You're done on this one. No idea, some of the guys in Zoom still finishing off a set, 1 or 2. I'll give them a few extra seconds while I explain what's going on next. We're going to come into a back exercise. Now, hopefully, you guys will be able to see this. Now, if you've got the cushions, you can actually use those cushions to help you out in the next part. But what you're actually aiming to do is lying flat on the floor. You're just going to press your elbows into the floor and try and imagine that you are arching your back up as much as you can. So you're creating that big squeeze and relax. So it's a really small movement, big squeeze and relax is all we're going to do. So I'm going to be lying on the floor. You can, if you want a bit of extra range, you can pop elbows onto the cushions, but you don't need to. But it's that squeeze up, squeeze the shoulder blades together, create that hard arch and relax. So it's a really tiny move. That's 1 rep. So it's that squeeze, hold for 2 and relax. Squeeze, hold for 2 and relax. So you're trying to create as much of an arch through the back as you can just by driving your elbows into the floor or into the cushions. If you're doing it on the floor, you've got even less range. So it's elbows, push down, squeeze for 2 and relax. So it's just trying to imagine lifting the middle of your back off the floor by pushing your elbows into the floor. You can play about, have your elbows by your sides, have your elbows right out to out at 90 degrees, play about with all those different positions, see how they feel. Again, we're just going to go for 3 minutes on this one. Go for sets of 10, give yourself a few seconds to rest, set of 10, a few seconds to rest. We're going to go, like I say, for 3 minutes. So what you should hopefully feel is a nice squeeze right through the middle of the back. So your hips should stay on the floor, your shoulders should stay on the floor. It's the middle of the back comes off the floor. Now, make sure you're not doing like a crunch or a sit-up. The movement comes from you pushing your elbows into the floor, your elbows into the ground. That's what creates that lift. So guys, keep those hips down on the floor, don't let them come up. So it's a really, really teeny tiny movement. So keep the hips down. So your arse stays on the floor throughout this one, and all it really is from there to there. That's it. So that's a really tiny squeeze. So that's it. Just that. Squeeze up. All I'm trying to do is squeeze my shoulder blades together. And that's it. I'm not coming into a bridge. I'm not driving my hips up. They stay down throughout that movement. 1 minute in. So again, going for those sets of 10. Shake it out. Recover. Maybe change your arm position slightly. So you're going out at different angles, different degrees. See how that feels. Because what you'll find is if you have your elbows tucked in by your sides, you'll feel that contraction much more down in the middle of the back. If your elbows out wide, you'll feel that quite up high on the back. And it all depends on what your personal injury history is. There are several different variations. You'll be using different muscles in different degrees. You'll be using the same muscle groups. It's all back exercises on this one. Again, there's 2 minutes. So you got another minute of these. Yeah, 10 reps, give yourself a rest. 10 reps, give yourself a rest. You might get 3 sets in. You might get 4 sets in. You might only get 2 sets in, who knows? But again, it's just getting that quality squeeze. Now make sure the key thing, I think I've already said it, I'm not sure if I have, so I'll say it again. Make sure that you're not just doing like a sit-up. Make sure the movement comes from you crunching through the upper back. Next one we're going to come into is called a scapular push-up. We're only going to do 2 minutes of those. It's a bit of a shoulder health one as well as a little bit of strength. Last 15 seconds, just keep working right to the end. And 3, 2, 1, relax. Okay, so we're going to work it into scapular pull-ups. So we're only going to do 2 minutes of this. I'll give you 30 seconds to grab, or pull-ups, what am I saying? Scapular push-ups, because not all of us will have access to a bar. What we're looking to do is a press-up where we try and keep your arms fully straight. So all the movement comes from your shoulders rather than you dropping down. So this one is all about getting that maximum contraction through the shoulder blades again, just from a different angle. So you'll be in regular press-up position. Doesn't matter what width your hands are apart. All you're going to come into, I'll just go from the knees just to begin with, because again, it doesn't really matter in terms of load. But you'll have arms locked out. They stay locked out. And you're going to work between squeezing your shoulders right back. So you squeeze right into it. But then from there, you try and push as high as you can. And it's that. Squeeze back. Push right up. So you'll notice my arms aren't bending. That's just coming from the movement in my shoulders. So I'm squeezing my shoulders back. Pressing my hands into the floor. You can load that up even more by being on the toes. Or you can stay on the knees. We're just going to go again, sets of 10, 2 minutes. Ready? 3, 2, 1, off we go. Like I say, less high intensity stuff tonight. You might find your elbows bend a little, but make sure you're getting that squeeze through the shoulders. That's the key thing. That's good, looks good. Good movement from everybody on Zoom. That's exactly what we're looking for. When you press up, press as far away from the floor as you can get. So try and get almost that you're not just pushing to there, you're almost trying to push there. So you're trying to push your arms out in front of you. Really push them in through the floor. Now, if anybody has any sort of wrist issues or anything like that, you can do this one in a plank position. It's the same movement. You get that same drive, that same push away from a plank position. Because again, you're not using your arms, you're using your shoulders. Good, so remember when you drop down, when you drop into it, make sure that you are actively squeezing your shoulder blades together. So you're not just dropping straight down and letting them just relax, you're actually almost trying to get your chest as close to the floor as you can, and then pressing away from the floor. What you might feel, now it depends on what way you're built, but you may feel this around the shoulders themselves. You may even feel it right the way down through the lats, coming down the side of your back. Last 30 seconds. Like I say, we're focused on movement quality than we are in terms of getting heart and lungs pumping. Good, last 10 seconds. And time. Grab yourselves a drink, grab yourselves a drink. Good. Looks really solid. So, this one now, this is a weird one because it's quite difficult to coach over Zoom. What we're going to look at is an RKC plank. Now, some of you guys may be familiar with that one. An RKC plank is a plank where you try and contract everything to its absolute maximum capacity. So, it's only going to last for about 10 seconds, each one. We're going to do somewhere between 4 and 7 rounds. Obviously, it sort of depends on how long you give yourself to rest. But what I want everyone to imagine is you get yourself into a regular plank, but then you try and contract every part of it as hard as you can. So you'll be contracting your quads, trying to lock out the legs, trying to lock out the knees. You're going to be squeezing bum muscles as hard as you can. You're going to be taking your arms, you're going to be trying to slide them back. They're not going to go anywhere because they're on the floor, but you're going to be pulling them back. You're also going to be pulling your toes up towards your knees. It'll look just like a regular plank, but it's much, much harder to breathe during it because you're actually squeezing everything as tight as you can. So this one is absolute maximum contraction. So all it is from that position. So I'm there, I've got toes pulled in, I've got glutes squeezed as tight as I can, pushing my elbows into the floor. I'm trying to hold. You can hear it in my breath how difficult that is. That is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, so it is 10 seconds of absolute maximum contraction, then relax. Okay, so everybody get themselves into position. So get yourselves into that plank position. Get yourselves ready. Forearms and toes. Think about squeezing your quads. Think about squeezing your glutes. Think about trying to drive your elbows down into the floor and slide them back towards your knees. Hold that as tight as you can for 10 seconds. Belly button pulled in and away from the floor. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Relax, relax, relax. Okay, so what that should feel like is like a normal plank, but much, much harder, even though it's just over a short period of time. So, again, going to go again in 3, 2, 1. When you're ready into that plank, squeeze everything as hard as you can. So Tom, just bring your hips up a little bit for me. A little bit higher still. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. So again, if you think about this one, when you're in that plank position, you're trying to keep your ribs as close to your hips in that position. So get that cells in and create that almost that crunch kind of position when you're there. So ribs as close to your hips as you can get them. Going again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off we go. So again, it's a really intense contraction, but you can have a slightly longer rest as well. But you don't need a huge amount of rest. and relax. Good, 10 seconds. So I'm going to do one more, but you'll have 1 minute to go through. You'll have 1 minute to go through a few extra at that stage if you wish. Okay, when you're ready, back up into position. 10 seconds. Going now. Off we go. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax, and relax, and relax. Good. Okay, guys, all we're going to look at last little bit, very last little bit, is all we're going to do is 1 minute of your sort of tower of power, your bear plank position. But what I want you to try and do is have something or somebody nearby that you can reach out and touch. I'm just going to use my best friend, the radiator. And all I'm going to try and do while I'm in that position, so I've got my knees just off the floor, holding that position, and all I'm going to try and do is lift one hand, reach right out, tap the radiator, reach out. So you're going to try and reach right out to that position. So my knees aren't touching the floor, they're just off the floor. I'm holding that solid position, reach out, touch, back down. Okay, we're going to go for 1 minute, 30 seconds, a rest, 1 minute, and we're done. That's it. So something that is just out of reach. Going in 3, 2, 1, off we go. So again, just reach out for something in front. Make sure it is a reach. Make sure you're not just looking to touch. You're not just sort of flicking your hand up into the air. You're not just keeping it dead close. You're trying to actively reach out. The further you reach out, the more challenging that is on the core. Try and keep the knees close to the floor throughout. It's good. The lower you can keep the knees to the floor, the more challenging it becomes on the core, the more stable you try and keep yourself. Like I say, we're going to go for 1 minute on this one. Welcome back. So we're in that bear plank position, and each time just reach one hand out in front as far as you can. Last 5 seconds of this one. 2, 1, time. So you get 30 seconds to rest. And we're going to do the same thing again. So the key thing, guys, that you keep that all fours position as much as you can. So again, as you reach out, well, a lot of people are they're lifting one hand off the floor, and as they do so, they're kind of like lifting everything all at once. Just try and keep as solid a position as possible. You try not to move as much as possible. You'll always move a little bit, but the less you move, the better. Okay, final round, final minute. 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is good. The closer your feet are, the more challenging it becomes. So if you need a bit of extra stability, bring the feet slightly wider apart. Because what that does, if you think you're 3 points of a triangle, so whenever you reach out, you'll have one hand on the floor and 2 feet. The wider the base of that triangle, the easier it is for you to balance. Looks good. You've only got 20 seconds remaining total. It's looking really good, guys. Keep working. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. That is it. Well done, well done, well done. So for anybody that has been following along on YouTube, well done as well. Job is finished. Just peppering in little bits of strength for legs, for upper body, a little bit of stability work all the way through. Not a huge amount of high intensity stuff, because I think there's a real danger of killing somebody in this heat trying to train. So that was session number 24. Well done again, and I will see you guys on Monday for our next session. I think possibly I'll be presenting to myself again. Well done.